"Your father is a liar," the rich man shouted, slamming money on the dirty garage counter. 19-year-old Sarah wiped her greasy hands, staring at the impossible challenge before her. Fix a Ferrari engine in one day or lose everything. But hidden inside that car was a deadly secret about her murdered mother. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. Your father is a liar and a cheat. Marcus Thompson slammed his fist on the garage counter. His expensive suit looked out of place in the dirty auto shop. "He promised my Ferrari would be ready today." Sarah Murphy looked up from her oil-stained hands. At 19 she had been helping her dad fix cars since she was 12. But today felt different. Today would change everything. "My father is honest," Sarah said quietly. "He never lies to customers." Thompson's face turned red with anger. "Then where is my car? I paid $15,000 3 months ago. Your father said it would be finished today. I have an important event tonight." Sarah glanced toward the back of the garage. Thompson's 1967 Ferrari sat there like a broken dream. The engine was completely apart. Pieces covered 2 work tables. It looked impossible to fix. "Mr. Thompson," Sarah began, "the Ferrari engine is very complex. It needs more time." "I don't want excuses," Thompson shouted. "I want results. Where is your father anyway? Too scared to face me?" Sarah's heart sank. Her father Patrick was in the hospital. 3 hours ago he had been in a terrible car accident. The doctors said he might not wake up. But she couldn't tell Thompson that. He would never understand. "My father had an emergency," Sarah said. "But I can help you." Thompson laughed coldly. "You? A little girl who plays with tools? This is a Ferrari, not a toy car." "I know more about engines than you think," Sarah replied, trying to stay calm. "Prove it," Thompson snapped. "Fix my Ferrari by tomorrow evening, or I will destroy this business. I will sue your family for everything you own. You will lose this garage, your home, everything." Sarah felt fear creep up her spine. Without the garage, she and her father had nothing. They lived in the small apartment upstairs. The business was their only income. Her father had worked 30 years to build Murphy's Auto Repair. "You have until 6 o'clock tomorrow night," Thompson continued. "Fix my car or your family is finished. And don't think about taking it somewhere else. I have people watching." Thompson stormed out, leaving Sarah alone with the impossible task. She stared at the broken Ferrari engine. Even master mechanics struggled with these old Italian engines. How could she rebuild it in one day? Sarah rolled up her sleeves and walked to the Ferrari. The V12 engine lay in hundreds of pieces. Each part had to fit perfectly or the engine would not work. One mistake could destroy the whole motor. She pulled out her father's notes and spread them on the workbench. Patrick Murphy was famous for his detailed records. Every repair, every part, every step was written down. But as Sarah read the notes about Thompson's Ferrari, something seemed strange. Her father had written about special work and hidden modifications. There were symbols and codes she did not understand. Why would Thompson's car need secret changes? Sarah decided to start with what she knew. She began cleaning each engine part carefully. The work was slow and difficult. Her back ached from bending over the engine. Her hands became black with grease and oil. As midnight came, Sarah was still working. The garage felt empty and scary. Usually, her father's presence made everything feel safe. Tonight, she was completely alone with an impossible job. Around 2 in the morning, Sarah found something odd. While working on the engine block, her flashlight showed a strange space behind the motor mount. It looked like someone had built a secret compartment in the car. Sarah carefully removed more parts to see better. Her hands shook as she discovered a small metal box hidden deep inside the engine area. The box was old and rusty. Someone had put it there many years ago. Sarah's heart pounded as she pulled out the hidden box. It was heavy and felt important. She wiped off the dust and carefully opened it. Inside were old photos, papers, and newspaper clippings that made her blood freeze. The photos showed a beautiful woman with dark hair and kind eyes. Sarah recognized her immediately, even though she had never seen these pictures before. It was her mother, Elena Murphy, who had died in a car accident when Sarah was only 4 years old. The papers told a horrible story. Police reports, insurance documents, and private investigator notes revealed a terrible truth that had been hidden for 15 years. But the last document made Sarah's hands shake with rage. It was a handwritten confession signed by Marcus Thompson. He admitted to being the driver who killed Elena Murphy on October 15, 15 years ago. Thompson had been drinking at a business dinner. He was driving too fast when he hit Sarah's mother as she walked home from work. Instead of stopping to help, Thompson had run away. He used his money and power to hide his crime. The confession explained how he paid bribes to police officers. He destroyed evidence and scared away witnesses to avoid going to jail. Thompson had even paid for Elena's funeral, not because he felt sorry but to avoid suspicion. The documents showed that Thompson had been controlling Patrick Murphy for years. He used threats and fear to keep Patrick quiet about the truth. Suddenly everything made sense to Sarah. She understood why her father always seemed nervous around rich customers. She knew why he sometimes took jobs that barely paid any money. She realized why he never talked about her mother's death. Thompson had been torturing their family for 15 years. He used the garage like his personal service shop while threatening to destroy Patrick if he ever told the truth about the hit-and-run accident. The expensive Ferrari restoration, the impossible deadlines, the constant demands, it was all part of Thompson's cruel game. He enjoyed having power over the man whose wife he had killed. He made Patrick's life miserable while keeping his own crimes secret. Sarah realized her father had hidden the evidence in Thompson's own car as protection. If anything happened to Patrick, someone would eventually find the truth. It was a smart plan, but Sarah wondered why her father never used the evidence to expose Thompson. Reading more documents, she found the answer. Thompson had threatened to frame Patrick for crimes he did not commit. With a young daughter to support and no money for lawyers, Patrick felt trapped by Thompson's threats. As the sun began to rise, Sarah felt a cold anger settle in her heart. She would finish the Ferrari's engine, but not the way Thompson expected. Years of working with her father had taught her more than just car repair. She had learned about justice and standing up to bullies. Sarah spent the next few hours planning her response to Thompson's cruelty. She would use her mechanical skills to create a solution that would finally bring justice for her mother's death and end Thompson's control over her family. The engine rebuild went perfectly under Sarah's expert hands. Every part fit exactly right. Every system worked as designed. The completed motor ran beautifully when she tested it. But Sarah had made one special change that Thompson would never discover until it was too late. She installed a GPS device connected to the engine's computer system. When the car reached specific coordinates, the device would shut down the engine completely. Sarah programmed it to activate at the exact spot where her mother had been killed 15 years ago. At 5:30 the next evening, Marcus Thompson arrived wearing an expensive suit. He expected to find Sarah crying and defeated. Instead, he found the Ferrari with its hood closed and Sarah standing beside it with a confident smile. "Your car is ready, Mr. Thompson," Sarah announced, holding out the keys. "The engine is completely rebuilt. Everything has been tested. She runs perfectly." Thompson looked suspicious as he examined the car. The Ferrari looked beautiful, its red paint shining under the garage lights. He started the engine, and it responded with the perfect sound of a tuned V12 motor. All the gauges showed normal readings. "I'm surprised," Thompson said with a mean smile. "Your father taught you well. Maybe too well for your own good." Sarah felt scared by his threatening tone, but she stayed calm. As Thompson prepared to drive away, she called out one last time. "Drive carefully, Mr. Thompson. Remember that truth always catches up with people no matter how long they try to hide." Thompson stared at Sarah for a moment, looking for hidden meaning in her words. Finding nothing obvious, he shrugged and drove the Ferrari out of the garage. Sarah watched the car disappear, then immediately called Detective Maria Rodriguez. Rodriguez was a family friend who had always suspected there was more to Elena Murphy's death than the police report showed. Sarah had contacted her earlier that day after finding the evidence. "He just left," Sarah reported. "Everything is ready. The system will work automatically when he reaches the location." 20 miles away, Thompson drove through winding roads toward the country club. He felt pleased with himself for forcing the Murphy family to do his work. He never suspected that 15 years of cruelty were about to catch up with him. As Thompson approached Highway 95 and Maple Street, the exact spot where he had killed Elena Murphy, the Ferrari's engine began to make strange noises. Within seconds, the car stopped completely at the place where Elena had died. Thompson tried frantically to restart the engine, but nothing happened. The car was completely dead. His cell phone had no signal in the remote area. As he sat in the broken Ferrari, police cars arrived from all directions. Their red and blue lights lit up the intersection like a memorial for Elena Murphy. Detective Rodriguez walked up to the Ferrari with other officers. Sarah had given them all the evidence from the hidden box. They had spent the day preparing arrest warrants and gathering more proof of Thompson's crimes. "Marcus Thompson," Rodriguez announced, "you are under arrest for killing Elena Murphy, leaving the scene of an accident, bribing police officers and hiding evidence. Thompson was handcuffed beside the same car he had used to torture the Murphy family for 15 years. The modification Sarah made was simple but perfect. The GPS device disabled the engine when the car reached the coordinates where her mother died. It could not be detected during normal driving, but it made sure Thompson would be stopped at the scene of his crime when police were ready. Sarah rushed to the hospital after Thompson's arrest. Her father Patrick had woken up that morning. When she told him what happened, he cried with relief and pride. For 15 years, he had carried the terrible burden of knowing his wife's killer walked free. He had been too afraid and powerless to seek justice. His daughter had done what he never could. "I'm sorry I never told you the truth," Patrick said, holding Sarah's hand. "I was scared Thompson would hurt you too." "It's okay, Dad," Sarah replied. "Mom would be proud of both of us now." Patrick smiled through his tears. "She would be amazed by how strong and smart you became. You're just like her." News of Thompson's arrest spread quickly through the town. The local newspaper wrote a front-page story about the 15-year-old case solved by a teenage mechanic. Sarah became a local hero, but more importantly, she finally had peace about her mother's death. People came from across the state to meet the young woman who outsmarted one of the county's most powerful men. The garage business grew rapidly in the following weeks. Sarah used the extra money to expand the shop and hire more mechanics. Thompson's business empire collapsed under the weight of scandal. His other crimes were investigated and more victims came forward. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison for multiple charges including murder, bribery, and fraud. 6 months later, Sarah stood in the renovated garage wearing a clean uniform. "Murphy and Daughter Auto Repair" was embroidered on the pocket. Her father worked beside her, fully recovered and finally free from the fear that had controlled his life. The Ferrari sat in the corner, now owned by a car collector who knew its history. Sarah had removed her modification and restored the car to original condition. But she kept the empty hiding place as a reminder that secrets and lies eventually destroy those who keep them. Sarah established a scholarship fund for students who wanted to learn automotive repair but could not afford training. She wanted her mother's legacy to help others for years to come. Sarah began teaching automotive classes at the local community college. She showed young women that they could succeed in traditionally male jobs. Her story inspired many girls to pursue careers in mechanics and engineering. "Cars don't care if you're male or female," Sarah told her students. "They only care if you understand how they work and treat them with respect." The garage became a training center where experienced mechanics taught beginners. Patrick was proud to see his daughter carrying on the family tradition while making it better and more inclusive. On the anniversary of Elena's death, Sarah and Patrick visited the intersection where Thompson had been arrested. They planted a small garden there with Elena's favorite flowers. A simple stone marker read, "Elena Murphy, beloved wife and mother, justice finally served." Sarah often brought her automotive students to the memorial. She told them Elena's story and explained how one person's courage could make a difference. She taught them that technical skills were important, but moral courage was even more valuable. Murphy and Daughter Auto Repair became one of the most successful shops in the region. Sarah's reputation for honesty and skill attracted customers from hundreds of miles away. She hired dozens of employees and opened 2 additional locations. Sarah never forgot the lesson she learned that terrible night in the garage. Sometimes the most important repairs were not to engines and transmissions, but to broken systems of justice and corrupted institutions. Years later, Sarah married another mechanic and had children of her own. She taught them about their grandmother Elena and the importance of standing up for what is right, even when it seems impossible. The original Ferrari was donated to a museum with a plaque telling the full story. Visitors learned how a young woman used her mechanical skills and moral courage to solve a 15-year-old murder case. Sarah often thought about that frightening night when everything seemed hopeless. She had been just a teenager facing an impossible task and a powerful enemy. But she had learned that sometimes the smallest person can deliver the biggest justice. The story of Sarah Murphy became legendary in automotive circles and beyond. It showed that technical knowledge combined with moral courage could overcome even the most powerful corruption. Sarah proved that truth and justice might be delayed, but they could never be permanently defeated. In the end, Sarah discovered that the most powerful engines were not made of metal and machinery, but of courage, determination, and the unshakable belief that right would eventually triumph over wrong, no matter how long it took or how difficult the journey might be. Elena Murphy's memory lived on through her daughter's work and the countless lives Sarah touched through her teaching, mentoring, and example. The garage that had once been a place of fear and intimidation became a symbol of hope and justice for the entire community. Sarah had learned that sometimes fixing what is broken requires more than just technical skills. Sometimes it requires the courage to stand up to bullies, the wisdom to plan carefully, and the faith that justice will find a way to prevail, even in the darkest circumstances.